Welcome to Get Easy. Today I will be discussing some of the examples on the complex stresses and the strain energy stored in a material. Some examples, worked examples on strain energy, complex stresses. Now, the first question what we have is a prismatic bar is supported at the top and is subjected to its own weight. The area of cross section is A, the length is L, and the density of the material is rho, and the Young's modulus is E. So the total elongation of the bar. So we have seen that the deformation of a body under an axial load is taken as PL by AE. Okay, but when the material is supported and it is subjected to its own weight, so we derived the equation. Okay, so we consider a section here at a distance of x having a small variable or a thickness of dx, so it is at a distance of x. The overall length, when we consider it as L, and the cross section area of this is A millimeter square, then we do the integration. We consider this small elemental area, we find out what is the integration, the elongation of that, and we defined or we derived the equation for the elongation of the bar. So when we derive that, when we consider the section xx here, we take first the weight of section. Okay, so weight of section or bar below, weight of section or bar below xx. When we consider this, we take it as the density multiplied by the area into x. So by doing this, we also calculated the stress, which we write it as gamma a into x divided by the area. So it ultimately results in gamma into x. Okay, so the extension, we derived it as extension is the total extension, or the elemental bar extension is taken as gamma into x divided by e into dx. This is the elongation or extension of elemental strength what we have, extension of elemental part. Okay, so this is the equation. So when we do the integration of that, we integrate that between the limits 0 to L gamma x divided by e into dx. When you do so, you will get the elongation of the material as gamma L square divided by 2e, where gamma is the density of the material. So this is the density what we consider. So now the answer for this particular question is option B. Okay, now let's move on to the second example. Here an element is subjected to opposite two equal and like stresses sigma 1, and they are mutually on the mutually perpendicular planes. Now what will be the shape of the Mohr circle? So we have seen that when a body is subjected to two equal stresses, say we consider this as sigma 1 and this as sigma 1. So similarly, we consider sigma 2 here, and this is taken as sigma 2. When we construct this Mohr circle using this, we take the value of sigma 1 here, this value of sigma 1 we consider here, and this distance we take it as sigma 2, the difference of the two. The difference of the two, using the difference of the two, we construct a Mohr circle here. Okay, so the radius of this Mohr circle is now the sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by 2. Now in this case, they have given that there are two equal and like stresses. So what will happen to this? Sigma 1 minus sigma 1 divided by 2. So the answer will be 0. So the circle of radius 2, sigma, the circle of radius sigma, and the circle of radius sigma by 2, or it is just a point. Now since we got the radius as 0, the answer for this particular question will be, it is just a point. So the radius will be, it will be just a point. It will not be, Mohr circle will not be a circle of radius of something, say it's 2 sigma, sigma or sigma by 2. It will be just a point. Okay, so the answer for this particular question is a point, that is option C. So the next one is, if the strain in three mutually perpendicular directions, if the strain in three mutually perpendicular directions are epsilon x, epsilon y and epsilon z, we have seen that a bar is subjected to this strain in the x direction, strain in x direction, strain in y direction when we consider epsilon y, and similarly strain in the z direction. So what we take it as epsilon z. Then we define volumetric strain as it is delta V by V. We consider it as it is a summation of strain in the three different directions. So here the answer for this particular question, the volumetric strain will be equal to epsilon x plus epsilon y plus epsilon z. So based on this, we do define the definition of bulk modulus, that is direct stress divided by the volumetric strain, that is delta V by V. We should remember this definition also. So the answer for this particular question is option B. Next one. Now a plate of thickness, a plate of 100 mm wide and 10 mm thickness is having a diameter, is having a hole of diameter 10 mm. So symmetrical about the axis of the plate. A plate is subjected to a force of 9 kilonewton. The maximum stress on a section passing through the center of the hole will be. So the question we have to understand here, we should consider a plate having 100 mm wide. So let us take this as 100 mm wide. Okay. So now it is having a thickness of 10 mm. So let us assume the thickness perpendicular to this. So if I consider this as, okay, so this is the thickness. Now if this is the axis, okay, so this is the axis. Now let us assume that it is a circular plate, because they are given the diameter as 10 mm. We will assume that it is a circular plate. Instead of taking it as a rectangular one, we have to take it as a circular plate. So the thickness what they have given, we have to measure the thickness like this. Here we will take the thickness and we will take the thickness here. Now in this they have made a hole of 10 mm diameter. 10 mm thickness is given, 100 mm wide is given. So if we take this as 100 mm wide, as I've already mentioned here, so if I take this as a 10 mm thick, okay, so if a hole of 10 mm means this is the hole what is being made. So the total diameter what we have, total dia of plate, if I consider, so I will write it as the internal diameter of 10 mm plus the thickness, two thickness what I have on the other side. So this will become 30 mm. So the total diameter is 30 mm. Okay. Now this is being subjected to an axial stress of 9 kilonewton on both the sides. So now what is supposed to be determined here is the stress. Okay, stress sigma, what we call it as, it is the load divided by the cross sectional area. So load, if I take it as a 9 kilonewton means 9000 newton divided by pi by 4 into, so what I will be doing is I will take the outer dia minus the inner dia what I calculate. So outer diameter is 30 square minus 10 square. So if you simplify, we will get this answer as, so 22.9 Newton per mm square. So here what the option they have given is, the answer, the stress will be 10 Newton per millimeter square, greater than 10 Newton per millimeter square, less than 10 Newton per millimeter square, and 9 Newton per millimeter square. So the answer, the stress what we got it is 22.9. So the option B will be the right answer for this particular question. Now the maximum stress will be equal to, maximum shear stress, okay, will be equal to what? So we know the maximum shear stress, we represent it as, it is taken as like, okay, so maximum shear stress we represent it as tau max. When a body is subjected to two equal stresses, okay, or two different stresses. If this is a rectangular body, this we take it as sigma 1, and this also we take it as sigma 1 and sigma 2, and this is sigma 2. If it is subjected to shear stress of tau here, and what is the value of this maximum tau max? So always we write the equation for tau max is now sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by 2. This is the equation for the maximum shear stress. Okay, now they have given that it is 1/2 of the algebraic difference of the maximum and minimum principal stress. So sigma 1 is the maximum principal stress, and sigma 2 is the minimum principal stress. So this is minimum principal stress. Okay. So therefore it is the algebraic difference, okay, 1/2 of sigma 1 minus sigma 2. So the next what they have given is intensity of shear stress acting on the major principal plane, which is not correct. The shear stress acting on the plane in the direction of two principal directions are none of these. So we have understood here is tau max will be equal to half of sigma 1 minus sigma 2. So the answer for this particular question will be option A. Now, the strain energy, the definition of strain energy, what we have understood here is it is the amount of energy stored in a body due to the deformation or the strain what it undergoes. Okay. So that is one option what we have. The definition of strain energy is the energy stored in a body because of being strained. Strained is nothing but the deformation. Because of the deformation, what we call it as. So otherwise, the energy that is spent for straining a body, that means how much energy is spent in order to make the body strain. Okay. So our stress multiplied by the strain, our volume into stress multiplied by the strain. Okay. So always strain energy, it is the energy stored inside a body, energy stored in a body. Okay, so we calculate this as half into the area below the curve, what we call it as. So strain energy we define it as half P into delta when we take the stress strain curve, when we plot it. So the area below this curve, so when I take the stress here and the strain value when we consider here, so this value we take it as the delta and this value we take it as the strain. Okay, strain is nothing but this small p. So the area of this will be, so the area strain energy will be equal to half P into delta. So this is the equation for the strain energy stored in a body. So the answer for this particular question will be option A, the strain energy stored in the body because of the material being strained. So the next question is the strain energy stored in a body due to an axial stress. What is the strain energy stored in a body due to the axial stress? That we have to see now when we consider a body. Okay. The strain energy stored in a body due to an axial stress, what we have here is, okay, so you consider a body. It is being subjected to now a direct stress. You can take the dimensions of the body like this. So it is the stress, okay, small p, what you can consider it as. So when you just plot the load versus deformation curve here, so that load versus deformation curve will be like this. Okay, so this value is taken as delta and this value will be the load what you have. Therefore now the equation just now we derived, we take it here, stress is equal to the load divided by the cross sectional area, and strain energy in this case will be sigma square into AL divided by 2E. So the sigma square is nothing but the stress square into A into L, we write it as the volume. So divided by 2 times the Young's modulus. So area will be the length what we have multiplied by the cross sectional area in which the load is acting. So which you can write it as a volume of the body. So therefore strain energy will be equal to stress square into volume divided by 2 times the Young's modulus. So the option for this particular question will be option A. So the next question is strain energy stored in a body when it is subjected to bending stress. So using Castiglione's theorem, in the definition of Castiglione's theorem, we have defined that the strain energy stored in a body is represented as, it is taken as integral of strain energy stored is equal to m square divided by 2ei into dx. Okay, where we consider the moment about a particular section and we will apply the limit, say 0 to 6 meter, and moment equation as a 6x divided by 2ei into dx plus next for the next remaining span of say 0 3 meter 3x whole square divided by so 4ei if the moment of inertia is 2 times the initial value into dx. So here when a body is subjected to bending stress, the strain energy stored in the body will be m square divided by 2ei, integral of m square divided by 2ei into dx. So the option A is the right answer for this particular question. So we can refer to the Castiglione's theorem of strain energy. Castiglione's theorem 1 will give the explanation for strain energy stored in a material subjected to bending stress. Now, the next one is the strain energy stored in a member due to direct shear. So the body will be subjected to the shear stress like this. So if it is a three-dimensional body, what we consider here, so the shear stress will act like this. So the other shear stress will be tau. So this will be the shear stress tau. This will be the shear stress. If I take this as x dimension, y dimension, and this as a z dimension, so the shear stress here, strain energy is again, it is the area what we consider as half into the shear stress acting on the area of x into z, shear stress into the area acting, and the corresponding deformation what we take here, so in the form of a phi value, so into phi into y, what we call it as the angular deformation here, the angular deformation. So when you simplify this, you will get the value of shear strain energy stored is half into tau xz into, so here b dash, so this we take it as a dash a, this is taken as b dash b, so phi into y what we consider it as, so this is also equal to half into tau into, in the place of x we write it as tau divided by n into xy z, because we write phi is equal to tau divided by n, so that we are replacing. So the final answer, the strain energy stored is tau square divided by 2n into volume. So this is the strain energy stored in a material. So the right answer for this particular question is option A, tau square divided by 2n, where n is the, or n we also call it as a G, which is shear modulus. Okay, so shear modulus or shear, modulus of rigidity, what we call it as, which is defined as shear stress divided by the shear strain. So shear stress divided by the shear strain. Sometimes we represent the shear strain as phi. So this will be the definition of the shear modulus. So strain energy stored is tau square divided by 2n into the volume. So the next question is, a body is subjected to normal stresses sigma 1 and sigma 2 in two mutually perpendicular direction along with the simple shear. So again I will consider a body here, two-dimensional body, which is being subjected to the stress sigma 1. Here also the stress sigma 1, stress sigma 2, this stress is also sigma 2, and the shear stress acting is tau here, and here also the shear stress acting is tau. Now in this case, the maximum principal stress is given by, so which is called as sigma 1. We write it as sigma 1 plus sigma 2 divided by 2 plus under root of sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus tau square or q square divided by 2. Sometimes we write it as sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus root of sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus tau square divided by 2. So this is for maximum, okay, that is major principal stress, what we call it as, our maximum principal stress. So the other definition what we have is sigma 2. So the only difference here is, instead of taking positive sign, we consider a negative sign, sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus tau square divided by 2. So now in the question what they have asked is the maximum principal stress, so which we take it as sigma 1, maximum principal stress. So the answer for this particular question is option A. So sigma 1 in there is nothing but P1 plus P2 divided by 2. Plus sign is for maximum and minus sign for negative. I mean the minimum principal stress. So this equation holds good for minimum principal stress and this equation holds good for the maximum principal stress, and Q represents here the shear stress. So Q is nothing but the shear stress on the body. Thank you.